Afternoon, Granny.
I'm a granny now. So lovely. I know. Little baby boy called Stanley. And he is honestly the most scrumptious little baby boy in the whole of the world. And I might be slightly biased, just a little bit biased, but he is fairly scrumptious, isn't he? Little Stanley. My heart melts. He's only a day old. I can't stop thinking about him, and I can't stop looking at pictures of him. I am completely besotted, and I can't wait to see him. I really can't. Anyway.
Which is why we're cooking.
Which is why we're cooking, because we're having to just keep busy, aren't we? Yes, I am just keeping busy, madly keeping busy. Anyway, I'm making a tart. I'm making a little tart for kind of lunch, late lunch, because we're a bit late today, aren't we? So it's sort of kind of using all those lovely autumnal flavours that are around here at the moment, you know, dropping off the trees and things. So we have walnuts, although these ones are obviously from last year because I haven't been picking those. We've got some beautiful squash, beautiful bright orange squash, some apple, parsnip, red onions, and lots of this cheese. Now this is the cheese I've mentioned before. This is the Caws Cenarth cheese. It's called Cryf and it's from Wales, and they sent me a massive amount of this incredible strong cheddar cheese, and we are ploughing our way through it and enjoying every minute of it. So I'm going to use some of that cheese as well. Anyway, it's very easy. Do you know what I've done? I'm literally going to throw this together. Throw it together. Then I can get back on with a bit of crochet.
And staring at photos of your grandson.
Yeah. Who is the most beautiful. Have I mentioned he is the most beautiful baby boy in the whole world? Universe. He's so scrumptious. Anyway, puff pastry. This is the ready roll stuff. So I always have a box of it in the fridge, generally, just so I can always just whip something up like this quickly. And all I've done is use the paper that it comes in, and just pop that into sort of like a brownie flapjack tin, really. And then it just comes out slightly up at the sides, that's fine. And then what I've done is marked. You see, I've just marked a line, just kind of show the centre bit where I'm going to be putting the filling, and then I've just pricked it with a fork, just to stop it from puffing up too much, which it won't really do because it's going to have a whole load of stuff put on it. So I've made a mixture here. I slow cooked some red onion with some dried thyme, parsnip, okay, which I chopped up, and a bit of fresh sage. Okay, so that's going to go on the bottom, on top of all of the pastry, and it's cold now, okay, so don't just put it onto your pastry when it's warm. Let it go cool after you've cooked it, otherwise you'll have melted pastry. That's actually 2 red onions, 1 parsnip in there. Some sage. So I'm just going to gently spread that within my lines. If you go slightly over, really doesn't matter. These are rough and tumble rustic pie, or tart, this. That's how they should be. No, it's not fussy, is it? This is good home cooking. And again, using all these lovely autumn colours and flavours. So it's going to be a really colourful looking tart as well. Okay, so just spread that over the bottom. So that's the parsnip and the red onion. Just building this up. Yeah. And then in here, I've got some walnuts. I'm just going to crush them and just break them up a little bit. It's a little handful, there's about a handful of walnuts in there. It's what I had left actually in the bag. Chopped fresh parsley, some chopped sage in there. I'm going to add to that slices of apple, okay, thinly sliced. Keep the skin on because you want to have lots of colour. So just mix that around. I'm not going to put any salt in because what I'm actually going to add now is a handful of this cheese, okay? So I'm just going to mix the cheese together with this, and we're going to stick that on top of the tart. Okay, just spread it around. I'm going to put more cheese on top because obviously we have to have lots of cheese. It's very important because it is my favourite thing, cheese, in the world. As you know, I eat a normal amount of cheese, really, don't I?
Abnormal amount.
Abnormal, yeah. Most people put, you know, a sprinkle of parmesan on their pasta.
Packet.
Oh yes. Right, so just pop that on top. Okay, so got those. Just press it down slightly. Make sure it's all evenly coated. So that's the apple now sitting on top. And then finally, I cut this squash that's really thin, okay? Because I want it to cook evenly, so the same amount of time as it takes to cook everything else. Now I'm going to put this at about 190 in the oven, but I'm going to keep an eye on it because I want the puff pastry. You need hot oven for the puff pastry to puff up initially, okay? That helps it rise around the edges and things. And then after that, you just want to make sure that everything else is cooked. So I should just turn the temperature down a little bit. I think that'll do. Okay. So on top like that. Might do one more. That's a big one. Okay, and then more cheese. Obs. More cheese on top. Now you can do this with blue cheese if you want. That'd be quite nice. But I think this cheddar is going to be magnificent. And again, as you can see, you've got these beautiful colours of autumn in there. It's going to be a really colourful dish when it comes out of the oven as well. So, bung that in the oven. I have no idea for yet. No idea. That looks a bit special, doesn't it? That is my autumn rustic colourful squidgy tart. That's where you're supposed to say
just like how I like them.
Yes. Well, we're not. I'm going to cut it now. The smells on this are amazing. And that squash has just softened beautifully. And you've got all that lovely melty cheese. All that lovely, lovely melty cheese. The Caws Cenarth cheese. Borders melted and absolutely lovely. And I'm just going to pull some of this onto the board. Like that.
And dive in.
I'm going to dive straight in. Sorry, I'm just not doing this very well. There we go. I'm going to dive straight in. I'm probably going to burn myself enormously. But I'm quite excited about all these different flavours and the different textures with the walnuts in there, as well as the apple and the parsnip and the onion and that squash, all on that puff pastry. Oh hello. That sage. That sage is banging. Do you know what's good about that sage? It gives a slightly savoury edge because all the ingredients here have their own sweetness. So that little bit of sage in there just gives a beautiful savoury edge to it. And then you've got all that lovely salted cheese on top. Hello. Hello, autumn tart. So easy. Give it a go.